Somewhere I Belong, Chapter 4, Part 4. Rainbow landed in front of the library after finishing her afternoon shift. She walked in to see Twilight and Applejack sitting on the couch. Twilight waved to her feathered friend and made room on the couch for her. "Hey, Applejack, what's up?" "Nothing, just got done with my afternoon shift," she said as she stretched her arms. "Have you seen Isaac?" Applejack asked. Rainbow let out a giggle at the question. "I haven't seen him since I dropped him on a cloud." Applejack and Twilight looked at her in horror. "You did what?" The mares yelled in shock. "Relax, I gave him that cloud-walking pill." "That's not funny, Rainbow," Applejack yelled. "Just imagine how he feels. The poor fella is probably scared out of his mind." "Seriously, Rainbow, that's crossing the line. I demand you go get him down now," Twilight yelled. Rainbow rolled her eyes and got to her feet. "Fine." As she walked towards the exit, the door burst open to reveal an out-of-breath orange Pegasus filly with a helmet on. "What's up, Squirt?" "Isaac, hurt bad. Near Everfree Forest," she said as she caught her breath. "What happened?" Rainbow asked in a concerned tone as she crouched down to the filly's eye level. "I don't know. He just told me to get help. Ditzy is with him now. We'd better hurry," she said as she got on her scooter and rocketed down the street, with the mares following close behind. Isaac and Ditzy were having a lengthy discussion about the postal business. "So that's who delivers the mail pony's mail. I always wondered how that worked back in my world," he said as he scratched his chin. "Yeah, it's a very complex system," she said with a smile. "Sounds like it," Isaac said as he got to his feet. "Great, my legs fell asleep. Oh, I hate when my wings do that." Isaac nodded and cracked his back. As he looked back at the mare, who stretched her arms, it looked like she was growing taller. Isaac looked down to see that his legs were quickly sinking into the cloud. "Ditzy, help!" The mare looked down to see the human's head disappear underneath the cloud. She looked off the edge of the cloud to see the human falling through the air at a breakneck pace. Ditzy zoomed towards the human and outstretched her hand. Isaac could see the buildings becoming clearer and clearer as he fell towards the ground. "Shit, shit, 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 shit," he yelled as he fell through the air. He looked up to see the gray mare trying to reach him. He outstretched his arms, trying to grab onto her. Ditzy increased her speed and grabbed the human's arm. She began to pull up as they closed in on the ground. Isaac could feel tears running down his face and fear coursed through every fiber of his body. As Ditzy started to slow down, she felt the strength in her hands beginning to fade. As she lost her concentration and the human slipped from her grasp, Isaac felt his bones splinter as he landed on the hard ground. Ditzy had slowed him down, considerably lessening the damage. She had only dropped him 10 feet from the ground, but it felt like 80 to Isaac. Ditzy hurried to him, with tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, are you okay?" "No." As he tried to sit up, he felt a wave of pain rip through his body. He looked down to see that his right leg was broken and was pointing in an odd direction. Ditzy looked away in disgust as he yelled in pain. Ditzy looked over to see 3 fillies rushing towards them. "Ditzy, what happened?" Applebloom stopped talking as she saw the human. The 3 looked away from the mangled human. "Girls, listen," Isaac said as he coughed up some blood. "Which one of you is the fastest?" I am," Scootaloo said, still looking away. "I need you to go and get Twilight, or one of the others. Tell them I'm hurt, and please hurry," he said as he coughed again. Scootaloo hopped onto her scooter and rocketed off towards the library. "Sweetie Belle, Applebloom, I need you two to find 2 flat pieces of wood, the same size as my leg. Can you do that?" "I think so," the white filly said through the tears. "Good. And if you're able, find me a big stick, something I can use as a crutch." Applebloom and Sweetie Belle nodded and ran off towards a tree. "Get it and bring it with you." Applebloom nodded, with tears running down her face, and took off towards the farm. "What about me?" Ditzy asked. "I need you to straighten my leg out." Ditzy looked at him in horror. "It has to be done. In order for this to work, my leg needs to be straight." I can't. It'll hurt you and—" "Ditzy, there's no time to argue. Just do it," he yelled. Ditzy wiped the tears from her eyes and put her hands on his injured leg. Isaac let out a cry of pain at her touch. "Ready?" Isaac put his hand in his mouth and let out a grunt of approval. "Okay. 3, 2, 1, now!" Ditzy pulled the limb so that it laid straight. Isaac bit into his hand hard and let out a muffle of pain. He tasted the blood from his hand in his mouth. He looked at Ditzy to see that she was crying. Isaac looked over to see the 2 fillies running towards him with wood in their arms. "These were all we could find," Applebloom said in a sad tone. "Good," he said as he fought through the pain. Put the 2 smaller pieces by my right leg, one on each side. The filly complied and laid the wood next to his leg. Isaac reached for his knife and handed it to Ditsy. I need you to cut my shirt off into 2 pieces and tie the pieces of wood to my leg tightly. Ditsy nodded and cut the fabric off of his body. She tied the wood around the injured leg. Isaac bit into his hand again to smother the whimpers of pain emanating from him. He looked over to see Applejack, Twilight, and Rainbow rushing towards him. Isaac! Twilight yelled as she crouched next to him. What happened, Ditsy? I don't know. One minute we're sitting on a cloud. The next minute I see him falling through the air. I managed to slow him down, but I lost my grip and... She put her hands over her face and started to cry. Applejack trotted over to her and put a hand on her shoulder. Shh, it's all right, Sugar Cube. You did all you could. Isaac coughed up some more blood as Twilight finished the knot. Twilight's horn began to glow as she levitated Isaac off the ground. Sweetie Belle handed him the stick and backed away from the human as he used it as a crutch. He let out a cry of pain as he put some weight on it. Oh, no you don't, partner. Ya ain't going nowhere with that leg, she said as she rushed over to him and put his arm on her shoulder. Rainbow walked over to Ditsy with a look that could kill a dragon. What were you thinking, Ditsy? You just had to lose your grip and... Shut up, Rainbow! Ditsy saved my life. If there's anyone to blame here, it's you. Isaac yelled as he looked at the mare with daggers in his eyes. That pill you gave me wore off. That's why I fell. Rainbow looked at him with tears in her eyes. Bringing me up there was scary enough, but trying to kill me is crossing the line. But I didn't, she tried to say through the tears. I don't want to hear it. Just stay away from me, he yelled as he coughed up more blood. Rainbow was about to rush over when he stopped her by raising his hand. Just stay back. You've done enough damage for one day. Even with his fading vision, he could make out the tears running down her face. Applejack and Twilight exchanged looks of worry as Isaac lost consciousness. Oh no, Isaac, stay with me, Twilight said as she hurried over to him. Give him to me. I'll get him to the hospital. You get the others and tell them what happened. What about Dash? Applejack asked as she put the human's arm over the unicorn's shoulder. I don't know. Just hurry, Twilight said as her horn flared and the 2 vanished in a flash of light. Applejack hurried over to the crying Ditsy and helped her to her feet. She walked over to Rainbow, who was still frozen in a catatonic state with tears running down her face. You okay, R.D.? He's right. It's my fault. He almost died because of me, she said as she lowered her head. Hey, don't talk like that. The pill probably doesn't work as well on humans as it does on ponies, she said as she put a hand on her friend's shoulder. He was probably talking out of pain and his head wasn't in the right place. Yeah, I guess you're right, she said as she wiped the tears from her eyes. That a girl. Come on, let's get the others, she said as she and the gray mare started to walk past her. Hey, Dits. Yeah? I'm sorry for yelling at you. It's okay. You were upset, and I know you'd never hurt some pony on purpose, she said with a warm smile. Dash looked back at the mare with a smile and gave her a hug. Thanks. You're a real friend, she said as she broke the hug. Girls? Hospital? Applejack said, trying to get them back on topic. Oh, right, Rainbow said as she flew off towards Ponyville with the other mares and the 3 fillies in hot pursuit. Twilight arrived in the hospital lobby with the bleeding human on her shoulder. She looked at his face to see that he was still unconscious. Some pony help, she yelled as a nurse hurried over to her with a stretcher. What happened? The nurse asked as she laid the human down. I don't know, but I think his leg is broken, she said as she looked at his leg. A unicorn stallion came over to them and started to examine the human. His horn glowed and a horizontal line appeared on Isaac's body. The line moved up and down his body twice and vanished. The doctor looked at Twilight in amazement. This thing is amazing, the doctor said as he lifted his glasses. Does that really matter? He's hurt, she yelled with a frown on her face. Right, sorry. Looks like his right leg and a few ribs are fractured. He has internal bleeding and a concussion. Twilight let out a gasp. Will he be okay? We'd better get him into surgery, the doctor said as he and the nurse began to wheel the human into the OR. Twilight sat down in the lobby, processing what had just happened. Soon her friends began to arrive. How is he? Rarity asked. They just took him into surgery. His leg is broken, he has internal bleeding, and is currently unconscious. The group gasped at the news. Rainbow hung her head in shame and stared at the floor. Rarity walked over to Twilight and pulled out a clean shirt. What's this for? Rarity motioned to Twilight's shoulder to point out a bloodstain on her shirt. Twilight quickly threw the blood-stained shirt off and put on the clean garment. Thanks. Any time, darling, she said with a smile. The mares looked up to see the doctor walking up to them, holding a clipboard. How is he, doctor? Twilight asked. He should make a full recovery. We managed to heal the bone and stop the bleeding. He'll have to remain here for a few days just to make sure there is no complications. The ponies let out a sigh. Can we see him? He's still unconscious, and even if he does wake up, the drugs we have him on will make him, for lack of a better term, loopy. I'd say come by tomorrow. He should be awake by then. Thanks anyway, doctor, the lavender mare said as the group turned around and exited the hospital. The group walked back into town in silence. Luna's moon was shining brightly. The mares said goodbye to one another and made their ways to their respected homes. As Twilight walked in, she picked up a quill and began to write a letter to the princess describing the day's events. As Spike sent the lengthy letter, Twilight made her way upstairs and began to drift off to blissful sleep.